All right, and we're back for another edition of the Lakers Fast Break Podcast. It's Gerald Glassford again from Pop Culture Cosmos, Inside Sports Fantasy Football, and Game Source. Thanking you so much for being a part of today's show. It's just so awesome again to go ahead and talk about everything Lakers, especially with training camp coming up this weekend for the crew. It's just so exciting to see. And he's back, and once again, he's a regular part of the show. Again, he's one of, in fact, let's just call him the fellow host. I don't like to go host, co-host, that type deal. Fellow host of the Lakers Fast Break Podcast. It is the man himself from The Voice from the Underground, the podcast. You got to check it out today on all major podcast outlets. It is TJ Johnson.
What's up?
I'm good, man. But, man, I had to get in touch with you. We had to talk about one more time this week before they head into training camp because the news came out today that Kyle Kuzma, well, it was on Twitter earlier this week that Mark Stein reported that there was an injury, but Kuzma was saying, wow, that's the first I heard about it. And everybody's thinking, oh, Mark Stein's not right. He, some NBA insider, yada, yada, yada. Well, turns out he was right because they officially announced, the Los Angeles Lakers today announced that he's out indefinitely with the foot injury he suffered during his time with Team USA. Oh, man. Talk about, not only did he not get on the team.
And you hurt your foot?
Yes. Just insult and injury to that. But they're calling it a stress reaction in his foot. I think that's just a new thing that they're coming up with now because the rookie that they just got in the draft in the second round, Taylor Horton-Tucker, he has a stress reaction in his right. So all these stresses now in their feet, I guess, in the past we used to call it sprains.
Right. Or, under the weather or, just flu. Everything flu-like symptoms.
Yeah, exactly. Now it's just load management. Well, the only unusual part of this that I see is because this is, a foot with a basketball player can be a lingering injury.
Yes, it can.
But the first thing I want to ask you is before we go into the repercussions of his injury going forward is, to me, a little bit curious decision that he's traveling to China with the team, even though he's not going to play in any of the games, that he would only be expected back at the earliest to be a part of game action would be after they come back from China, because they're talking mid-October, which is just right around the time that they come back from China. So I ask you, is it an unusual decision in your mind to say that, you need to travel with the team, or should he have stayed in the U.S., on the West Coast, in L.A., rehabbing that foot, or just focusing on, working out and getting into shape?
I think that could be a little bit of a two-folder. One, yes, I think to answer your second question first, I do think you should have stayed in LA, training, get yourself right, get your head right. This is about the game of basketball. The flip side to that is I think it might be to save a bit of face and to make it seem like it's not as big of a deal as we could potentially in the media make it out to be. The fact that they were telling us there's an injury and then they were denying, and then Kuzma was denying it or playing very coy about it, just for them to turn around and finally announce that there is an injury makes me think that he didn't think it was a big deal, but it was serious enough to where, he probably felt he needed to get at least looked at or checked out. And the Lakers are probably going to just not take any precautions. Obviously, they're trying to buy into Kuzma. When everybody was up for sale, Kuzma was the one that was left standing. So obviously they feel some type of way about Kuzma, which is great. But it does lead me to believe that it's either A, not as bad as we think it is, or B, they're really just trying to save face. Either way, I think he should be back home. I think he should be training. I think he should be getting himself healthy. I think he should get himself ready for potentially one of the biggest seasons of his young career. Obviously, you love the opportunity to play for your country. You love the opportunity to play for Team USA. They say it's a once in a lifetime chance for some of these players. Well, sometimes it's once in a lifetime, sometimes it's 3-4 times in a lifetime. But it is a very, very distinguished honor to be able to do so. But there comes certain risks. Obviously, we look at Paul George a few years ago. That was a huge risk playing for Team USA, and you see what happened. Still shaking up to even look at that video. But Kyle Kuzma playing for Team USA in the FIBA tournament, it's one of those things that happens. I'm sure there was some extra stress to it. Again, they don't say exactly what it is. They just say it's a stress reaction, which, again, could be anything from a stubbed toe to a arched foot. I don't know. There's many things it could be. Long story short, he needs to be home rehab and get himself ready for the season. If it's as serious. If it's serious enough for them to report, I think he should be getting healthy. Personally.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's so stressful right now. Maybe he should have his foot take like some yoga or something, just maybe get like a massage or extra one or two. Nice soothing bath in Southern California instead of going to China. And
elevation and just
exactly anything to just ease the stress, because the stress is what is stressing me out, and that they're not really being specific outside of just saying it's stress. So I will say that he is important to the Lakers' plans, and we discussed this on a previous episode of the Lakers Fast Break podcast. And I'll tell you what got me over the summer is that a lot of people were asking, why Kuzma? Why was he the one that stayed? Why was he the one that wasn't traded away in the trade for Anthony Davis? Why is he such a valuable piece for the Lakers? I will tell you what, for me, I think he's a valuable piece just because of what he represents and his love and affection for the team, but also the fact that he enjoyed playing with LeBron. That came off well. Whether or not he's a best fit for the Lakers in playing with LeBron and AD, we'll have to wait and see. But I know he enjoyed his time and learning from LeBron and playing with LeBron. But I can tell the organization truly cares for him more than what they cared for Brandon Ingram, Ball, or any of the assets, as part of the trade for Anthony Davis. And I can tell why, and I'll give you a reason. The draft lottery, I don't know if you want to go way back to the draft lottery. Who was representing the Lakers at the draft lottery? It was Kuzma. And when an organization does that, they really, that to me tells me they're really standing behind that individual, whether it's a GM, whether it's a president, vice president, or a player. Yeah. And to me, that gave me the sign that I think the Lakers were really behind him 100%. Whether or not it stays that way, ultimately it's left on the court. But this begs the question with this now stressful situation that we're having in regards to Kyle Kuzma's injury, and that is this. We talked about where we think he'll end up as far as in or out in the starting lineup, but because of the delay now with the injury, if things are moving forward and all the pieces are in place and you already have a rotation in mind or a starting lineup in mind coming out of China, could it be for you now a little bit more solid on the fact that maybe he'll be coming off the bench starting the season? For me, it actually solidifies it.
Absolutely. You don't have a choice at this point. He hasn't had the opportunity to go through training camp. You're already going to get a look at a team without Kuzma in China. I think it'd be asinine for them to go ahead and try to insert him into the starting lineup right off the gate. Now, if he works himself back up and gets himself into that type of shape, because, again, the only way you can stay in basketball conditioning is to play basketball. You can't just go through simulation practices and scrimmages and things like that. There's no replacing on-court basketball as far as your conditioning is concerned. He's going to have to get his conditioning back. He's got to get his strength back up in his foot. There's a lot of things that come with having a stress reaction injury because you got to be able to try to build all that stuff back up, stamina, wind, strengthen that foot. So, no, I think it's completely solidified that he would be coming off the bench. Even if he can get himself healthy by the start of the season, he's going to be coming off the bench.
Well, there definitely are some questions out there regarding the health of Kyle Kuzma. Let's hope this doesn't drag out over the course of the season, because this could really hinder his progress. I'm not sure if it'll hinder the Lakers' progress 100%, but I know it will hinder his progress in his third year, which is usually a decisive year for an individual. An NBA player is usually that second, third, and fourth year. That's where you really start to see what kind of player that they're going to be. It's usually this time where a player will develop. And since he started out as an older player, since he didn't start, he didn't come into the league as, an 18 or 19-year-old freshman, he's already in that stage where he's reaching that plateau on where he needs to be and where he's going to be as a player. So we're going to have to wait and see exactly how this develops, if this is going to be a lingering issue going forward for the entire season, if he'll ultimately need surgery. I hope not, because that would derail him more than the Lakers per se, but it will also hurt the Lakers as well, because having someone who basically is capable of popping off 20 points a game at any point in time, if you give him the ball, if he gets hot, what have you, having that in your arsenal is always a great thing. So I'm hoping for him that he will be able to go ahead and get healthy and get right and get just even if he misses the first couple weeks of the season, just get right with that foot and be able to go ahead and produce for the rest of the 2019-2020 season.
Yep, agreed wholeheartedly. And I see the Lakers have gotten a bit of an injury bug right off the bat already between Kyle Kuzma, obviously their new rookie that they have, and what's the kid's name? You just mentioned his name.
Well, they had the Taylor Tucker.
They also have Jordan Caroline. That's who it was I was thinking of. There's a forward, Jordan Caroline. He has surgery on his foot on September 6th. So right off the bat, we got some injuries to our Lakers. Now, granted, this to two rookies and one, 3-year player, but you just hope that that's not a precursor for things to come.
I agree with you. I hope it's not either. We'll have to wait and see, but definitely Kyle Kuzma is going to be on the shelf for at least 2 to 3 weeks. Looks like mid-October at the earliest, and we'll go from there. But once they get back from China with Kyle Kuzma, they're going to have an MRI to see if his foot's going to be okay. They can get a better idea exactly the long-term ramifications of his foot and how good it will be going forward. So keep your fingers crossed, Lakers fans, for some good things for Kyle Kuzma. I think he deserves it. I think he's worked hard on his game. I think he's ready to prove to people that he can become that consistent number 3 player for the Los Angeles Lakers. If he gets a shot, as I said this to you before, if he gets a shot as far as three-pointer back to what he had in his rookie year, is around 36%, even if he goes to 37, 38, that would be sensational. I'm truly hoping for a great season for him, but I'm also hoping for some great health as well. Definitely his contribution to the Lakers will be something that could really be something special if he gets right and if he's healthy going into the season.
Absolutely.
Check out what's been going on with the Pop Culture Cosmos Show and the PCC Multiverse.
The better that these Marvel films do, the higher the standards are going to be for not just other films in general, but other Marvel films also.
I think it's really hard to end a show with this many fans in a satisfying way.
That's the Pop Culture Cosmos Show.
And the PCC Multiverse.
Playing worldwide on radio 7 days a week and wherever you get your podcasts. Well, all right, my friend, but before we go, I want to make sure we talk about some Facebook groups real quickly. I want to give them a big shout out. Gone ahead and allowed us to go ahead and advertise in their groups. So big shout out to Los Angeles Laker fans, Real Lakers Worldwide, Laker Gang, and Born a Lakers Fan, Die a Lakers Fan. If you're interested as a Lakers fan with any of those groups, join up with them today. The discussion's always on. Those are some great groups out there. Combined, I was counting about over 400,000 Lakers fans that were involved in these groups. So if you want to get involved today, join any one of those groups. And I cannot thank them enough for allowing us to go ahead and advertise the Lakers Fast Break podcast. But all right, my friend. All right, as we head on out, we got to talk about it. In the last episode, I became Mr. Hot Take. I became Mr. Hot Take and did a hot take on Rajon Rondo and said that I didn't think he was a capable NBA player. I may have been a little bit too harsh because you were very kind as far as his contributions. And I'm not going to discount his contributions when it comes to his experience, his mentoring, and his possible coaching other players, and even his playoff skills. He's someone that maybe in the playoffs you want to have ready, and as far as on a shoulder rotation, he could come off the bench and provide some minutes for you there. But during the course of the season, man, especially last year, some pretty rough stats. I know we talked about it before, 35% from 3, which is league average right around there. That's not too shabby, but it falls apart from there, my friend. I'm going to just read this out to you. Okay. Right. Defensive plus minus, 81. That's right, 81st out of 105 as far as the point guards are concerned. Now, Trae Young and Colin Sexton, they got to get their act together because they're on the bottom of this list, but that's for those teams to take care of. They're young. They're rookies. Okay. Rajon Rondo's no rookie, and he's 81 out of 105, and that's not a good start right there. So his impact defensively is not where it needs to be. His true shooting percentage, because we talked about the 35%. Okay. His true shooting percentage, I'll use the quote right here that Medium.com did, an abysmal 47% true shooting percentage, which is third worst among all qualified NBA players for last season. Ooh. So when he's not shooting three-pointers, it's not a pretty sight. It's pretty much what they're saying.
Yikes.
But we also talk about his distribution, and he does get 8 assists a game. He did average that last season.
Yep.
So you got to take the good with the bad. But there are some gaping holes that I guess were always a part of his game.
Yep.
He was higher on the steal ratios, for so many years. You would always discount as far as any defensive lapses that he would have because he was always going for steals and he was always among the league leaders in steals. Those days don't appear to be there. So I ask you, my friend, capable NBA player, I may have been a little bit too harsh, but you cannot tell me he's going to be, with those kind of numbers, someone that the Lakers truly need and truly going to utilize well during the course of the Lakers season.
Well, let's be very clear on what we decide is utilizing. If we're talking about for his offensive capabilities, shooting the ball, well, no, he was never that guy. He was never that offensively minded basketball player who was looking to get his points, looking to get his shot at the sacrifice of anybody else on the team. That was never his game. So if you're referring to him offensively in that regard, then you'd be correct, but that was never his game to begin with. His game has been his high basketball IQ, his ability to make his teammates better by looking for them, getting them in their correct spots. Again, he averaged over 8 assists for the last season. That's his game, his high basketball IQ, his ability to generate open shots for other players. That's what we need Rajon Rondo to do. We have enough scorers. LeBron, Anthony Davis, your guards coming off the bench. We have enough people that can shoot the ball. It'd be great if Rajon Rondo could shoot the ball. And every once in a while, if he shoots the ball from deep, there's a good chance it might go in. It might not. Who knows? Point is, that's not his game. It's never been his game. And I don't think anybody who watches Rajon Rondo play is expecting anything other than what they've pretty much got, which is consistent offensive running. Maybe not consistent shooting, but we've never really gotten consistent shooting from Rajon Rondo. So that's nothing.
But the only thing is, those are things that are needed to surround Anthony Davis and also LeBron, because LeBron can distribute as well. Anthony Davis had his career high in assists last year, or very close to it. He's very good assist-wise last year. Distribution-wise, I think they're pretty good there. They need people that can shoot the ball and shoot the ball well, and also defend the ball well. And at this point in time, if you base the numbers, he really didn't do a great job of either. And that concerns me greatly going forward, because the Lakers do need a definitive point guard at some point in time to help out LeBron. This trio that we talked about on our last show with Alex Caruso, Rajon Rondo, and Quinn Cook, one of them needs to stand out. And I don't think you and I had a definitive individual that stands out. And the Lakers don't have the trade assets anymore because you gave the whole house, the condo, the beach house, the apartments,
and the sports car.
And the sports cars. You gave everything in the divorce with all the other players there, and when you sent them packing to New Orleans.
Yep.
So what do you have left? You don't have a whole lot outside of Kuzma, and you didn't want to trade him in the first place. So it all comes back around again, where it's something that I'm worried about as far as that position is concerned, that there needs to be something to solidify. And I'm not sure amongst those three, again, going back to what we were talking about, is there enough there to get by? I think there is enough to get by in the regular season without that much needed from it. It's just when you get to the postseason, can we find something like playoff Rondo that can give us that even more with what we have there?
I think we can. And it's like you said, we didn't have a definitive, this is the point guard. I think both of us, probably more so me than you. You were a little bit critical, but definitely more so me from the standpoint of, I think you kind of have to go Rondo by default because nobody else has stepped up enough to take that spot. I think it's Rondo's spot to lose very much the same way I think it's JaVale McGee's spot to lose that starting center position to Dwight Howard. But it doesn't change the fact that we're picking the lesser of two evils, if you will. We're trying to pick who's going to be the best candidate out of the bunch that we have, and quite frankly, none of them really are starting point guard potential. But considering what we have to work with, I still think your best bet is Rajon Rondo, just from pure experience point alone, and a little bit more of the consistency that we would need. Avery Bradley is not consistent. Kyle Quinn, not consistent.
Quinn Cook.
Quinn Cook, not consistent. There's just, the consistency isn't there for anybody else. And again, we know, I hear the numbers in regards to his player rating and his defensive rating. I get it. I do. But who's going to be a better option at point guard that we have?
That's the problem. I may be inclined to agree with you. He may not be, okay, I'm going to go ahead and I'll walk back. See, I'm not going to be one of those guys that has those hot takes to have a hot take. I'm going to walk back on that statement just a little bit, that he is still somewhat of a capable NBA player. Plus, he's going to be playing alongside two of the best 5 players right now in the game.
Exactly.
When they're healthy, they're 2 of the best 5. And to me, that's why I think the Lakers will excel this season, because I think both of those individuals have something to prove. But again, as we get closer to the season, we're going to go ahead with our season predictions and all that. So I don't want to go ahead and delve into detail into that too quickly. But I want to go ahead, as the Lakers are breaking into training camp, say that, it is a position that they do need to focus on and decide exactly where they want to commit to. Quinn Cook is great in short bursts, as we saw in the playoffs.
Yes.
Gave them energy, gave them 3-pointers right away. But once you started playing him a lot more because of the injuries, that's when you saw the leaks in the dam, so to speak. That's when you saw the holes there. You can't play him consistently long minutes, but my goodness, he's a great 12, 15, 18-minute player right there for you. He can give you like 10, 12 points, really give your second unit a really nice boost. But if we're going to go ahead and depend on him, that's going to be an issue. If we're going to go ahead and depend on Alex Caruso, I know a lot of people like I said on the previous podcast, there's so many people out there going, he just needs some time and he's going to be the greatest player. I mean, look, we only have a small sample size, like you said, you just showed right there with your fingers. Small sample size, 23 games should not determine whether or not he's the man. I mean, we'll see it in camp. He'll get time in camp, because he'll get time in the exhibition games in China. He'll get time during the course of the exhibition season. So we will know coming out of training camp if he's going to be a viable option going forward. So ultimately, it goes back to the familiarity you have with Rajon Rondo. So I hope he is a capable NBA player. I think he is, and as far as distribution is concerned. But again, he's going to have to shore up. It's going to have to be an issue of desire. I think a lot of what he does during the season is an issue of desire. And if he realizes the situation, then he's going to go ahead and maybe shape and form, because the Lakers, again, with this team, I think they could be top 5 in the West. I think they can go ahead and be anywhere from 1 through 5, depending on exactly everything that goes on. But, it's all up to the team from this point. But final thoughts before we head on out on Rajon Rondo, because you've convinced me to go ahead and ease off my stance. But not a whole lot more.
I think it's important that the Lakers keep him engaged early. What Rajon Rondo can do is he can tend to distance himself, and he can tend to kind of be this, he can alienate himself and not really be involved, especially if he's not getting to be involved in the offense. So if he's literally just there to kind of dribble the ball up and get the ball out, he's not able to kind of help run the offense. A lot of the great point guards that you have in the league are out there calling plays on the floor along with the coach. So I think he still needs to feel like he's got the ability and the green light, if you will, to be able to kind of make some of those on-the-fly adjustments that we would be accustomed to seeing, like a Peyton Manning make at the line of scrimmage or something of that nature. He's got to be able to feel comfortable enough to still continue to do that. He's got to feel comfortable enough to continue to be Rajon Rondo. I think it's important that the Lakers make sure that they keep him plugged in early as well. They've got a lot of balls to juggle in the air at the same time. You've got a recently ranked number 3 in the NBA, LeBron James. You've got Anthony Davis, who has something to prove at this point as well. You got Rajon Rondo. I mean, you've got a lot of balls to juggle in the air as far as massaging minutes and massaging egos and massaging characters. And don't forget, you got Kyle Kuzma, who once he comes back from his injury, is going to be inserted into that rotation. Is going to be kind of expected to really, again, take off, considering the fact that the intention is not so much on him. He might be able to thrive in a situation like that. So you still got a lot of balls in the air that you're juggling if you're the Los Angeles Lakers. And it'll be very, very important that they come out and assert themselves early in the season and allow the team chemistry to build from the ground up. But they have to come out aggressive. They can't jog out to the game, and they can't jog out there and kind of put a half show out there because they're trying to build chemistry. No, you need to build chemistry right now. And that could be another reason why Kyle Kuzma is still traveling with the team as part of the chemistry building. He wasn't there for the summer, obviously, with the FIBA commitment. So it's important that he builds that camaraderie, builds that chemistry, builds that gel that you're going to need for a deep playoff run.
Hey, listener, Dutch here from Voice from the Underground, the podcast. My co-host and I want to invite you to check out our little corner of the podcast verse. At Voice from the Underground, we talk about all the crazy happening around us and try to make a little bit of sense out of the nonsense with little to no results. If the idea of hearing three semi-intelligent, outspoken nerds talk about politics, social issues, current events, sports, movies, pretty much anything that we decide to talk about because, well, it's our show, appeals to you, grab your shovel and come on down to the underground, and then consult a qualified psychotherapist. Find us wherever you get your podcasts, just not where you buy your weed.
Voice from the Underground.
Once again, it's TJ Johnson from Voice from the Underground, the podcast. Any last thoughts on what you're going to be working on this weekend with your friends, both Haas and also as well Mr. Dutch, when it comes to Voice from the Underground?
Well, I've got a birthday this weekend, so I haven't told those guys yet. I might take the weekend off, but I haven't told them yet, so shh.
Yeah, don't tell Dutch. Don't tell Dutch.
No, I love those guys, and we'll probably still put something together. I'll be out of town, but we're definitely gonna still put it together and get it done because we got to finish up our Crash perspective, and then there were some things that were said in the last podcast that we all want to kind of go back over and get to the bottom of. So, we have fun, but we like to keep it. We like to get serious when the time comes.
Well, I know the news is very hot and heavy as of late when it comes to Washington, D.C. and all that. Plus, I told Jason I would never forgive him if he doesn't talk about Greta for at least a couple minutes. So, and especially that GIF. But we won't go there. So we won't go there. We won't go there. Yeah.
Voice from the Underground.
Exactly. That is, again, Voice from the Underground. If you like your politics, pop culture, and cigars, plus a lot of great talk, you got to check them out today. All their great shows that they've got already there. Plus, it's coming up as well in anticipation of your birthday. All the best for your, 21st birthday?
Maybe 14 years ago. No, I'll be turning 35 in 1 hour and 45 minutes.
Well, congratulations to you, my friend. I know that's something very special. I remember many, many years ago when I hit that age, but we won't talk about that as well. But I know you're going to be having a great weekend, so I just wish you all the best and tremendous success to you and the show as well, Voice from the Underground, on all major podcasts. If you want to check out my stuff, I'm also doing the Inside Sports Fantasy Football, plus also as well the PCC Multiverse, part of the Pop Culture Cosmos channel. We're talking a lot of great things, including Kevin Feige.
Yeah.
Head of Marvel Studios.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, going to be involved in Star Wars. So that's some great news that I talked about, actually recorded, but you're going to hear it on Friday with my good friend from Australia, Ben Arnault, Smoking Hot Confessions.
Nice.
So, my friend, it's been a great episode. I'll tell you what, when you come back with me next week, we'll set aside, I know this is not really the Lakers stuff that we're talking about. We'll set aside some stuff for Kevin Feige and Star Wars for you. Yeah. I'll set aside a couple minutes for you on that.
And some J.J. Abrams and DC Extended.
There you go. Exactly. Yes. Henry Cavill, I heard it might be on the way out even more so now. But
our geek is showing. You better cut it out, man.
Yeah, I better cut it out. Got to stay Lakers geek. For now. But again, Media Day, training camp, all that good stuff is coming out for Lakers fans. I know everyone is excited like TJ and I. To keep in touch with us as far as this is concerned, you can go ahead and hit us up on the Twitter. We're on the Twitter at Lakers Fast Break, also at VFU Podcast for TJ, at Pop Culture Cosmo for me as well. Or if you want to send us an email with comments, questions, and also thoughts, email us at LakersFastBreak@yahoo.com. Plus, when we get on Apple Podcasts and all those other podcast outlets, we'll update you on that. So if you're listening and you're not exactly in love with Anchor or Spotify, we are getting on more platforms, and as soon as we do, we'll let you know.
Amen.
Amen to that as well. All right, my friend, it's been a great time talking to you as always. I wish you again all the best on your birthday. Number 21 coming up for you. I'll stick to that. Just wishing you a great birthday. And again, to everyone out there on the Facebook groups that have appreciated and liked what we're all about, we cannot thank you enough that have listened already. So tune in again. We've got more episodes coming up in the next week as well. Thank you again so much for being a part of the Lakers Fast Break podcast.